Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be looking at set 76456, 2025 Advent Calendar from LEGO Harry Potter with 278 pieces. This set retailed for $44.99 and was of course released last year as the year's Advent Calendar. The set is now out of stock, but you may be able to still get it on, the aftermarket for a similar price to the retail price, hopefully even a little bit lower if it does interest you. I know that the Advent Calendar pricing is like consistent year over year, regardless of piece count, but I do think that $44.99 for 278 pieces is a little crazy, especially when you consider that many of the builds featured here are not able to integrate with other Harry Potter sets as much as in previous years, where they would throw in a mix of minifigures, micro scale builds, and then some kind of complementary holiday decorations that you could flesh out for other sets like the Great Hall, the Hogsmeade, so on and so forth. I did have a pretty negative opinion of this set when it was first released, though I got it because I am kind of a completionist, but I do really like the holiday sweaters that we see referenced on the box art here, unique each for the four respective houses, and you get 2 sets of students per house. That said, I have warmed up to the building style of these other builds over time, although they don't really integrate well into other sets. I think the design language is cohesive and consistent and does have a cute appeal. Turning over the box and opening up the calendar, we see the display that you can add the calendar builds to. This is a beautiful backdrop of Hogwarts in the snow, and I love this light path of magic coming from the castle that you can place the like minifigures on and then kind of sprinkle the other builds across. So I'll go ahead and display these builds and then come back to show you what's inside. All right, here we have the calendar all built out. My display for this calendar is kind of swirling the minifigures along alternating different houses along that glimmer of light, and then placing the other buildable objects around in a pleasing style to me. Let's go one by one through the different builds featured here to see what we have. Beginning the minifigure lineup here, we have, of course, Harry Potter, featured with the short year 1, year 2 legs, so these do not bend. We see him in a Gryffindor Christmas sweater here, so we get some nice trees along the back and some snowfall at the top of his sweater. And then on the front, you get an owl with, looks like a candy cane, some additional trees down below. So love the decoration featured here on the Gryffindor sweater. Of course, just the standard Harry face print and hair. We do see on the back his trademark scared expression that we see throughout this current wave of Harry Potter sets. Next up in the lineup, we have Hannah Abbott from Hufflepuff. Looks like this sweater features a mandrake coming out of the mandrake pot there, which I think is a very cute design for the Hufflepuff sweater. Also get some trees down below in orange with this yellow sweater. So think that the Hufflepuff sweater is nicely detailed as well. We see short legs for Hannah Abbott here. Pretty nondescript facial expression, but I do like the blonde hair mold that they give her character. Alternate facial expression is this frown, so perhaps she didn't get what she wanted for Christmas or is unhappy that Harry is likely opening the Chamber of Secrets and setting the monster against her classmates. Next up for Ravenclaw, we get Cho Chang. Quite like this Ravenclaw sweater. Looks like the main decoration on this is a Cornish pixie, which I quite like. Not necessarily a like Ravenclaw creature, but it is a blue creature, and so I think it's fitting to be on this sweater. And of course we do get some dark blue trees down there as well, so sensing a pattern with the different designs for these sweaters. The hairpiece here is quite nice as well. And we get the mid-scale legs for Cho here, so this is likely in her 3rd or 4th year at Hogwarts. Representing Slytherin, we get Blez Zabini with short legs, so this must be in his 1st or 2nd year. The creature on this sweater, I believe, is a Grindylow, so that's a fun inclusion with a little Santa hat on it. Very, very cute. Of course, the green sweater matches the Christmas style and the trees and snow quite nicely for this figure. No back face on this since he has this kind of shorter fade, but like this figure quite a lot. Our second round of Hogwarts minifigures are going to have the same sweaters, but we get Angelina Johnson here with mid-scale legs. She's a bit older than Harry. Like the ponytail mold that we get for her here, she does feature an alternate facial expression, so we get this larger smile in addition to her smirk that we saw on the other side. Next up, we get Cedric Diggory, figure that we've gotten before, but I quite like this hair mold for him. Looks a little bit different than some of the other hair molds we've gotten for Cedric in the past. Very Goblet of Fire film-esque. He has a nice kind of confident facial expression on this side, and then a sterner expression on the other side. So perhaps he's getting ready to complete one of the Triwizard tasks. Our other Ravenclaw figure is a young Luna Lovegood, as evidenced by these short legs. We don't see Luna until the 5th book/movie, but of course she is a Hogwarts student, you know, in the background the whole time. Pretty generic face print on Luna here, I will say, but I like the hair mold quite a lot. Her secondary facial expression looks a bit sad. Perhaps she's upset that she is ignored in the story until book 5. Finishing up the minifigures, we get, of course, Draco Malfoy with that Grindylow in the Santa hat again, his typical like stern facial expression with the slicked back hair, short legs, so from the first 2 films. Alternate facial expression is very angry. He's upset that perhaps Hermione got points for Gryffindor, or that some other minor inconvenience has occurred. Switching gears now that we're done with the minifigures, let's check out the magical creatures. So first up we have the Thestral, all in black and dark gray here. Similar build style to the other buildable magical creatures we'll see within this set. So you get a little tail there, 2 wings that you can adjust. Of course, this is a very kind of simplified build with those googly eyes, and it's kind of deconstructed. I do like the use of the textured brick at the front here to kind of suggest the skeletal nature a little bit of the Thestral rather than having it be fully smooth. Very similarly built is Buckbeak the Hippogriff. On a similar note, I like that here we see this different piece up front to kind of suggest like the fluff of Buckbeak's feathers. In the back, we get the piece that we see in the like Wingardium Leviosa scenes for kind of like a quill as his tail, which I think works decently well. Other than that, very similar to the Thestral, except for the color scheme. Maybe my favorite of these magical creatures is Harry's Patronus. So we get the Stag Patronus here. I like this because of just all the trans blue pieces. Feels very magical, catches the light really nicely. In some ways it's a bit less detailed, but I think they do a good job with the antlers. I just think it's very pretty, very fitting for an advent calendar. A welcome inclusion into the set. Switching things up a bit in the build style, we get here Aragog. Similar, of course, googly eyes. I like the use of these pieces for the legs. Only has 6 rather than 8, so not the most accurate arachnid, but I think that, you know, it's clear who this is supposed to represent. Of course, we get Hedwig as well. These clip pieces are used for her feet, and you get some indication of like wings as well. This is a fairly simple build, like no hints of black to kind of give her some spots on her wings. Of course, you know, with the scale, wasn't necessarily expecting anything that different, but not my favorite of these creatures for that reason. A very fun inclusion is this Mandrake build. The only real build in the set with like no studs to attach anywhere, which means you kind of have to have it just lying flat. I really like this actually. It looks kind of goofy, but I think that that's part of the charm. Something about this reminds me of one of the chickens from Chicken Run. But I think with the plant coming out of its head, you can, you know, tell what this is supposed to be. You get a Monster Book of Monsters within this set. I think that this was a pretty effective build with these teeth coming out of the front and its different kind of spindly legs. This book doesn't open, of course. It's not that complex of a build, but I think the googly eyes work to decent effect here. The sorting hat within this set is pretty straightforward. Get a little bit of texture on the back. I guess the sorting hat has eyes, kind of the folds of the cloth kind of make a face. Looks maybe a touch goofy, but I think the shaping of it indicates what it's supposed to be, and the style is, you know, consistent with the other builds in this set. We also get a chocolate frog in this set. This one I'm a little bit less sure on. I don't think the shaping quite fully works. I do kind of like the nod to the packaging of chocolate frogs, using the purple and kind of caramel colors down below for the box of a chocolate frog, but this one was a little bit of a miss for me. Switching gears from the, I guess, sentient objects, we get a Hogwarts letter. Fairly straightforward. This is a printed piece, which is nice to see, but not too much else going on here. But I do like the inclusion of this. In a similar vein to the chocolate frog is the Bertie Bott's Every Flavored Beans. I think that this is a very nice build. These are all prints, very detailed. See a lot of beans kind of within the box. It reads Every Flavored Beans on each of the 4 sides. So this is a very nice build. I think it's very fitting for an advent calendar. Bit of a gloomier inclusion is this Skelegro. It reads 1100 drops, Skelegro, RW and Co. Not sure what the RW reference is, but this build is very nice. That's a print on the bottom with the writing, skeleton up top. And yeah, I think that this is, to the scale that this set is making these objects, I think that this was a fun build to include. In a similar vein, we get a Polyjuice Potion build as well. This reads A0045 something else. Not totally sure what that is, but the transparent green here I think works nicely to signal that this is a sickly potion, though it is, I believe, described as kind of like brown and thick within the source material. But this reminds me of the larger build that we saw within the Hogwarts icon set. So I like the callback here, and I think that this was well designed. This butterbeer might be one of my favorite builds within this set. Love the way that they designed the handle, the trans orange bricks used for the liquid of the drink make you want one, I would say. And then this kind of foamy piece on top caps it off quite nicely. The final build within this set is one of my favorites just in the look, but I hate to admit it, I don't know what this is. And could have looked it up before making this video, but I didn't. My guess would be that this is perhaps, the hearts make me think that it might be Amortentia, the love potion within Harry Potter, but then this little tassel and kind of the shaping of it reminds me of like a perfume bottle. So maybe this is like Umbridge's perfume because it's pink. Apologies that I don't know the specific reference here, but it's a nice build. So all in all, my opinion of this advent calendar has actually warmed over the few months that I've had it. Initially, I was pretty let down by this one just because it, you know, doesn't contain builds that you can integrate within your other sets in a seamless complementary way, as has been the case with some previous advent calendars. This being kind of fully one-off little builds that you do with the design language of the googly eyes and the kind of very particular scale that doesn't blend for any other kind of scale that we are typically getting from this theme, whether that be minifigure scale, micro scale, large buildable figures, whatever have you. This is kind of its own thing. But that said, I think for the purpose of what an advent calendar is kind of actually supposed to be, I think that this did a pretty nice job at creating like a charming experience with its own particular design language, very cute builds. And to be fair, you do get 8 minifigures here, which are nicely unique in their holiday sweaters, very appropriately themed for an advent calendar. I like the little references on the sweaters with the Grindylow, the Cornish Pixie, the Mandrake, and the Owl. And these can be very well integrated into a Hogwarts castle system and help also, create kind of a particular wintertime vibe if that's the time of year that you're looking to decorate your Hogwarts with a bit more of a festive flair. So it's not my favorite advent calendar that they've ever released by any means, but I think that perhaps I and maybe others were a little harsh on it when it initially came out. I think it does execute the idea that it had pretty well. If this isn't something that appeals to you, I don't think you're really missing out on skipping this one. But those sweaters are nice if maybe they're on Bricklink for a relatively inexpensive price. I think if you picked them up, you would be happy with them. That said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on future LEGO reviews, both Harry Potter and other themes as well. But hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching.